almost the book in the room, Chad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. My math is off, but I don't know.
200 every 10 years.
It's 200 every 10 years?
Yeah, 200 million times 3.
No, it would per year. It would be a tenth. It would be a tenth of 200 million.
Yeah, it'd be 20.
Which is 20 million.
20 a year.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So my math was not that off, but 20 million a year is incredible.
That's what Joe Biden started.
No, he didn't. It's not true at all.
No, it was when Tucker told me.
So 20 million more births in a year. Excess births. That's crazy.
Well, it's,
Yeah, you know,
that you're talking about. Well, they discuss the implications of the cultural, religious, other aspects of foreigners coming into this country. But they talk about those things in all times. For example, from Muslim communities, Hindus, and so how would this impact American culture, whatever you want to define it? What the impact would be? Does the book actually talk about this?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of good. The number one positive impact is we would be militarily safe, right? Because the reason it makes us militarily safe is China has all these smart people building AI and robotic systems. If we open up the immigration system so that every single smart Chinese young person moves here, China doesn't have the force of engineers to oppose us militarily. So if you just do the math, if you start by letting in the most skilled engineers in the world, it cripples our enemies and it makes our military stronger without us having to spend money. That's the first way of it.
So to me,
On this childbirth thing, which I'm more interested in, what you're talking about, is like as of 2023, we were birthing like 3.6 million babies, so north of 3 million babies a year. To get to 20, you're gonna have to multiply that approximately 7-fold. And it's so significant of an increase that like literally we would have to we'd have to set up a lot of like pregnancy services and all of the hospital beds that these women would need and all of the like prenatal wards and all of that shit. Like we'd have to multiply those things a lot. Like we'd have to probably take some time to actually build the infrastructure in order to have that many children in a year.
It's all true, but during the baby boom era, when America was growing stronger, we did have a pronatal culture, and the book is very persuasive that, look, I don't expect, there's a lot of racists. If you want America's racial balance to stay the same forever, you can't have that high level of immigration. But if you truly don't care about race, if you truly believe in America with all the smartest people in the world living in America, and you can ignore race, it's quite achievable for us to have 1 billion.
But not in 30 years, that's not realistic at all.
Well, that has something to do with a lot of the approachable things that we have in the country that people come here for. I'd be interested to think, Tomato, what would be your thought process on our higher level institutions requiring citizenship or naturalizations for attendance? That would actually open up more opportunity for citizen students to attend these higher education institutions, and also pull in more of those high value new patriots from other countries. If we're like, hey, you can go to Harvard, you can go to Yale, you need to be naturalized or a citizen or a child of, as opposed to bringing in people from the Emirates, from Europe, who are coming here, getting that school, and then bringing that knowledge or that mental equity that they're getting from our country and bringing it back to those other countries.
Well, I'll answer you very briefly. America's number one crisis over the next 20 years is China beating us in AI and robotics and military technology. Like we are under threat of being defeated by China all over the world because of the huge number of high school people they have. So if you love America and you're an American patriot and you don't give a fuck about race, it just seems obvious to me that we should invite every single super smart, super skilled young Chinese to move here. And imagine if the 200 million smartest young Chinese engineers all left China and moved here, like China would be fucked and we would be safe from them defeating us. Now, on the other hand, if the racists win, make no mistake, the racists want to let in no Chinese immigrants. Well, if you leave those smart people in China, they will eventually build weapons and fuck them. So, in my view, if you love America, let the Chinese in. And then after you let the Chinese in, start thinking about letting in lots of other smart people. And in particular, prioritize immigrants who are smart from countries that may become our rivals. If you steal the smart people away from other countries, they can't be our rivals. I'm not speaking, and I don't expect support for it.
Right, but to counter that, I'll be real quick, Shipwreck, to counter that, to make room for all these super incredibly genius level people from China or even India, or arguably some of the top tech coding engineers come from, well, we got to make room over here. So that means we got to start testing some of the dum-dums in this country and see if they, are cut the mustard. If whatever aptitude test we come up with, if you don't cut the mustard, off you go to El Salvador.
Well, you say that as a laughable thing, but I think high school students should absolutely be able to pass the same test that immigration people who have to come through the immigration process do. So I think that's absolutely true.
And by the way, the baby boomer was 4 million. Baby boomer at its peak was only 4 million per year in the 50s.
So I reject the idea that there's not physical space. I mean, if you go to cities all over Texas, the rate of apartment building construction is so high that you have places where the population is growing by tens of thousands and people get along just fine, especially with the implementation of self-driving cars. I don't know how many people here have used Waymo, but once all the cars are self-driving in 10 years, you can easily have a lot more people getting around without traffic jams. So I reject this narrative that letting more people in America makes it shittier. I just reject the idea that we don't have space for hundreds of millions of people. I think we do. And there can still be parts of America that are rural. Like maybe you can have Montana and Vermont stay rural forever, but most of America can build apartment buildings and become the hyperpower with the
We don't have the infrastructure to support 1 billion people as it stands right now, status quo. We'd have to really upscale our infrastructure in a lot of different ways. I'm talking about from like how much food we grow to like how many houses are built, how many schools there are. Like all of our infrastructure would have to dramatically increase in order to support comfortably that amount of people without dooming the majority of them to some kind of poverty.
That's all true, but if you Google it, you'll see already today in the suburbs of Austin, there are 4 companies using robots to build apartment buildings. And it's easy to confirm all 4 companies with current robotics technology, you're looking at being able to build apartment buildings with 80% less human labor than you need now. So the idea that there's a shortage of apartments, I kind of reject. Now when it comes to food,
It's not housing, not apartments, housing, just housing in general. There's already a shortage of housing, but there would definitely, that shortage would be exacerbated by we're pulling our budget population in a 30-year period, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you would need to pace this out in a way where you basically don't doom those incoming families to poverty and all kinds of other things.
There's only a housing crisis due to the Airbnb type marketplace, and then the corporate conglomerates getting into the real estate market as opposed to individual sellers. That's the big reason why we're having a housing crisis.
Factors. Those aren't the only ones.
No, I'm saying those are the main.
I don't know if that's true, but they are contributing factors.
Well, those two contributing factors hyperinflate the marketplace, which eliminates the ability for people who are looking for that first house to be able to purchase a house. when I bought my first house at $245,000, my second house was $450,000, but now it's worth over $1 million, and that's because of corporations buying houses.
That's partly because of that. I agree that they have that effect that you described. That's not in dispute. But is that a bigger contributing factor than a whole bunch of government red tape that doesn't allow for the building of affordable houses?
There's
Absolutely, they need to remove like a lot of. Oh no, you should not have the city, county, state, and federal red tape to go through when you want to build something. Like me, in the past, I've mentioned it multiple times, I've tried to do the multiple generational living. I live in New Hampshire, I have a good amount of acreage, and I'm not able to put a second dwelling on my property without having to pay an absorbent amount of fees in order to get
The point of it is, it's not clear that that's the stuff you said was a bigger contributing factor than what I just described, or even something like shortage of construction workers. They're all contributing factors.
That's fair.
Yeah.
There's evidence.
So where we agree though is that the things you named are contributing factors. Like I don't know how to enumerate how big of contributing factors are they relative to each other. That's the ultimate point I was making. But yeah, like my ultimate point though about this birth thing is we would have to it's not just a matter of promoting childbirth. It's also a matter of like family planning at a macro scale. Like we have to make sure that our infrastructure can accommodate that many more people in that short span of time. So we would have to do the work of expanding our hospital capacities, expanding our neighborhood capacities, expanding our capacities at our schools, expanding the amount of affordable housing that was available to people, creating lots of job opportunities. We'd have to do a lot of shit to our infrastructure to accommodate. That would be like a baby supernova boom like that. That would be a baby boom at a scale I don't think any country has ever seen in that short span of time.
No, I agree. I don't think we necessarily need a billion. I get the process and yes, if you're going to do it, but I think we could smarten up our immigration process, bring in higher value individuals. That's a terrible term, but it is what it is. Because you can get the lower value trade type work from Americans that are here. My brother owns a company that does something, but he's constantly getting beat out on bids because he can't afford to pay his people based on the rates that other people that migrant workers are able to be paid. So yeah, the highest I don't think we necessarily need a billion people. I think we just need to be more smart on how we're using policy.
But ironically, and I wasn't going to make this point until just now, but ironically, you would also maximize your need for low-skilled labor. like if you're trying to infuse your infrastructure with a bunch of buildings, you're going to need a lot of construction workers. And
there are a lot here, though. There are a lot here.
But they're not enough for what we're trying to accomplish in 30 years.
But
I'm only going for 30 year timeline because that's what he specified. But ironically, that would actually make a higher demand for low skilled labor than y'all are letting on.
But there's a lot of to fill that demand within the country. Like I said, my brother, who happens to be white, owns a company, and he has a hard time sourcing stuff to keep his guys active. I also have my brother-in-law, so my wife is Mexican. My brother-in-law lives in Jacksonville, Florida. He does cement work, and he has his own crew, and he has a hard time with the bidding process. But he's a Mexican-American.
We don't have a lot of people who are skilled strawberry pickers, for example, or skilled orange pickers, or whatever. We just don't. We don't have that. It's one of the reasons why we import so many people from other countries who can do those things and do those things. Maybe if you're trying, policy-wise, or orienting around some kind of massive farm labor training program to try to get U.S. citizens to do it, maybe. The thing is, training programs have historically been really hit and miss, and probably more missed than hit. typically when you're trying to retrain people out of certain things into other things, it's like really bad. But you'd have to figure out a way to, even though they're low skilled or whatever, you have to figure out a way to get a lot of Americans to get the skills necessary to like, pick the crops and stuff like that. And presumably because they're low skilled, it would probably be easier than training people to like, I don't know, convert from like coal mining to like, I don't know, some green jobs that have nothing to do with local coal mining, and a lot of those skills are not transferable.
Well,
Like,
I'll respond very briefly. So first of all, we had this argument in your room 3 years ago on self-driving cars, where some of us said that all cars would be self-driving within 20 years, and that meant 15 million people who make a living by driving are going to lose their jobs. Now, at the time we discussed self-driving cars, I remember most people saying, no, we'll never have self-driving cars, those jobs are never going away. Now, I will make the same argument today, and you're welcome to laugh the same way you did about self-driving cars. There are already today in California robots picking berries, picking asparagus. Every single one of these agricultural jobs, there are robots that can do it. Now, as of right now, the robots cost a little bit more than they're paying illegals, but it is a lie to say that deporting 100% of illegals means that you'll never be able to pick this crop. I'm stating it's a lie. If 100% of the illegals are deported, they'll buy the machines. Food prices will go up a little bit, but California will do just fine with no illegals, with machines picking your crops. Now, I'm not retarded. I know everyone in the room is going to laugh at the idea of machines picking crops. So I'll post some shit there.
Well, I'm not gonna laugh at that. First of all, I've never even laughed at the idea that the drivers would be replaced by a car that they can. I was always aware, since this app has existed, the impending threat of automation and what impacts it's likely to have for certain job sectors. There are a bunch of machines that can be used to like pick various kinds of vegetables and fruits. They come with a bunch of drawbacks though. Some of the machines are not dexterous enough to pick certain kinds of crops without damaging them. They have like these like huge shaker machines that shake the shit out of say orange trees, and all the oranges drop down or whatever, but then they cause like bruises and stuff, and so those oranges that are bruised are not like able to be sold in the same way as like oranges that aren't bruised. And so you have alternatives like, oh, okay, well I can take the bruised oranges and I can donate them to a place that creates like, I don't know, orange marmalades or some shit. And you can make money that way, but there's a bunch of drawbacks to the current state of the art. Presumably, they might create robots that are more advanced and dexterous, where they can, pull whatever it is. They can pick oranges, strawberries, whatever, with enough dexterity as a human being to where you don't have a lot of like damaged versions of them, and you can sell them all at the store or whatever and maximize your profits that way. That's in the cards. But I don't know how soon that is. Maybe it's sooner than we expect. But I don't know how soon that is with that particular industry. But with the self-driving cars, I think that's probably a lot sooner than any of the stuff I just described in terms of agriculture. But my ultimate point wasn't really like I wasn't really trying to counter the threat of automation. It was more, if you were really serious about increasing our population in such a short span of time, you would actually create a demand for more skilled labor than we already have in the status quo in order to even develop the infrastructure necessary to facilitate that many people. And that was just the infrastructural point. There's also a bunch of other things, a bunch of other reasons why skilled labor would become in high demand. Mostly it would reduce the cost of things for the end consumer, which they would really, really love. But whatever you're trying to accomplish, ironically, the way things work in the status quo, you're going to need more of the very skilled labor that you're trying to include. That's all I was trying to point out. But also, yeah, dude, tripling our country's population in 30 years is one of the craziest ideas I've ever heard. I don't think you need to do it at that fast of a scale. if you want to make the scale a little bit longer, it would be a little bit more doable. But it would take a lot of work. It's not just infrastructural work. Like, there's a lot of babies that would need to be delivered and taken care of by people. So, like, I don't know, if you want to do it in a way that's not going to subject a whole bunch of children to child poverty in this country, like, I'm sure it can be done and accomplished in that way if, like, the country was, like, dedicated to that goal in a way we were dedicated to the space race, where we were all kind of unified for the most part, holding those responsible for 9/11 accountable, although we kind of botched that, but for a little bit, we were pretty fucking united. We did not take too kindly to those planes hitting those buildings, I'll tell you that. We were unified in our hatred, which is a unity of some sort. Oh, this thought occurred for Jack. Like, what is the Republican stance on maternity leave exactly? Because that's going to become a big deal if you're trying to triple your country's population in 30 years. You have a lot of women that need to take off work. Like,
yeah, I know. I personally think it would be for a national interest. It's just best for our culture and our people, for mothers to be with their babies at least for the first year of their life. I think they should primarily be with their babies 100% of the time if possible. So if the government needs to step in to make that happen, I just think that children are much better for it that first year.
But what if he's working? Like I understand that she should stay home, but like, what kind of government intervention would you?
It doesn't have to be a government intervention. It can be the same thing that it is now, short-term and long-term disability, that they pay for.
Who, the employee or the government?
The employees and the employers.
I mean, the employer. See, I don't think I like that. I don't want to put this on the backs of, I don't think that's right, because if I'm an employer and that happens, honestly, I'm just not going to hire women. I'd rather it be a government subsidy type.
It's pennies on the dollar for the employee, for an employer to cover them, and some of them do pass it through to the employee. It's very inexpensive coverage.
Hold on. Do you mean the coverage of, like, disability, or do you mean the coverage of having someone to come in and work there in their...
The coverage of the disability for the women who are staying home with the children.
Right, but what I'm saying, okay, so maybe so, right? But then if you make it the employer, first of all, obviously one employer is not the same as another. Small business employees are not going to react to this the same way as big business employees. And more importantly, in this case, we would be expecting them to do two things, not just one. One of them would be the disability. The other one would be filling someone in temporarily while that's happening. I gotta say, I can see where Holly would come from in what she's saying, in that, like, if you have an employer expected to do both of those things rather than just one of them, they might be apprehensive towards hiring women. Would you agree, or?
Theoretically, they could be. I mean, I don't know that it would be any more so than some probably already are. I was strictly speaking to the question of, but women that work, how are they supposed to go out of work for the year? Now, as far as the burden on the employers, I know in a lot of situations, at least for the companies that I've consulted with, both small and large, oftentimes when people go out on maternity leave, they aren't, they don't hire fill-ins. But of course, the maternity leave is a lot shorter right now than a year.
Maternity leave is not considered a disability. What is a disability?
Short-term disability is what pays most women their maternity leave while they're out on maternity leave.
Okay. What is the limit?
With most short-term, it's 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, that ain't.
And then long-term would have to kick in after that.
Right, but I mean, I don't know how long that even lasts if you're going to do long term, but on the short term, 6 to 8 weeks, that ain't a whole lot for someone to go from I was just pregnant, had a child to all right, time to do whatever the hell I was doing before. Obviously, that varies, and I think that on its own has been a pretty strong discouragement for women to actually do so, to have children and to try to raise families for quite some time now. 6 to 8 weeks ain't shit, really. And not to mention, we're talking after that. What are we like? What is expected as far as dealing with an actual born baby now afterwards, and the costs and that are new, and supporting those costs. Not to mention other personal physical ailments or issues from just physical, biological, like physiological injuries, all the way up to postpartum and dealing with all of that. Like, it doesn't seem like there's any real safety net on that portion, at least not in totality, certainly not from employers. It usually, this kind of the disparity between some women receiving that kind of care or resources versus those that don't is based on what state you're living in and how liberal they really are.
I guess the eventual going down this road was like, you would have to have policies that were particularly accommodating of pregnant women because you're going to maximize the amount of pregnant women in your society if you're serious about a goal of tripling your population in 30 years. So, like, the status quo is not sufficiently accommodating for pregnant women. The policies as they stand would actually deter most women who are in the workforce from having children. Which is one of the reasons why, apparently, one of the contributing factors to the decline in birth rate in the first place. Which is just a roundabout way of recognizing
Exactly.
what's going on. But, like,
Yeah.
so these policies would have to be different. Like, women need longer to like, give birth. Like, I don't know, man, deal with any potential complications or postpartum stuff, or, you know what I mean?
Hey, you know what's interesting? I bet that if we somehow looked, and this is totally my speculation, but I bet you that if you compared general birth rates in the United States to side by side with birth rates of those in, for example, the U.S. military, I'm almost certain I have very little doubt that those in the U.S. military would have much higher birth rates, and the reason would be specifically because of the unilateral levels of support that you would get just from that level of employment. We're talking not just maternity leave, you also get paternity leave. You're getting so many benefits that are already routed to you, and most importantly, this is like the thing that honestly gets left out. It's not just the benefits, it's knowing the benefits and knowing how to access the benefits that is like worked for you through those kind of programs. And some employers, some fantastic employers do it, but this is few and far in between. Usually you don't even know what's even available to you to have that.
Find outside of ourselves. Zen Buddhism points to 7 layers of wisdom in his response. First, he embodied the principle of knowing what is enough.
But by the way, think really any part of the United States, like functionally, as far as social programs or just infrastructure, can support a large scale increase in population. Like we just don't have that. We ain't got proper road management. We certainly don't have the hospital beds for it. We ain't got a lot of shit that would run well with just small increases that are acute, that are done in an acute fashion time-wide.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there is a lot of space for more people. You'd have to drastically cut spending and reallocate to pay for the stuff.
So I disagree with not there being space. That's not what I'm saying. I think there's space. I just don't think we've built the country up enough for it. I think we absolutely can build the country up for it. We're just not investing in that. Like, we can build more houses. We can absolutely build better and more sustainable infrastructure. We can definitely build railways, like we've been talking about for fucking ever, but we just keep not doing it. To support better transit instead of having a million people in traffic all the damn time. But we're not really that country, right? We're a car driving country. This is a choice, is what I'm saying, and we've made the choice to not build more hospitals. We've made the choice to not build more care centers and avenues and schools. Even we've chosen not to invest in schools in ways that we should. Instead, our money goes to things like defense, which is fine. It's just our choice, you know. And so I'm not saying
They interviewed her. God, that was quick. They are not playing. I thought it was going to be maybe next week Tuesday is what I thought it was going to be, but I got a clip of that, and I know it's actually coming off of the TV, but Jeffrey Epstein compliant. No, I'm not. Did I just say compliant? Jeffrey Epstein accomplice. Ghislaine Maxwell. Go ahead, whoever's talking.
No, what are they hoping to achieve?
We don't know. And if you know, tell me. But I'm telling you, she had a very productive meeting today with AG. Now, what does that mean? She had a very productive meeting. So it says, I'm just going to do a little bit of article and then I'm going to play the clip. She met today, Todd Blanche, we know who he is, Trump's ex-attorney, met with Ghislaine in Florida today, just one day after a congressional committee voted to subpoena her to provide additional testimony surrounding his years of sex crimes. And not even talking about Trump, like he ain't got nothing to do with this. Why are they, so they voted to subpoena her to provide additional testimony about his years of sex crime. Now, I guess you're going to leave Trump out of it? Speaking to reporters outside the federal courthouse in Tallahassee today, Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar Marcus, said his client and Trump's ex-attorney had a very productive day. She answered every single question. She never stopped. She never invoked a privilege. She never declined to answer. She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, to her ability. Let me play this clip, and then we'll go from there. I just want to know why they're dropping like flies. Okay, hold on. Play, go.
Nicole, thank you so much. Welcome to The Beat. I'm Antonia Hilton in for Ari Melber tonight. We begin with the political crisis rocking Donald Trump. Overnight, new video surfacing showing Epstein being grilled about Trump in a deposition. Also today, the Speaker of the House directly contradicting Trump, saying this is not a hoax. And Trump's former defense attorney spent the day in a Florida prison talking to convicted Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. It's a pivot point in the Trump presidency. As Politico puts it today, the Epstein bombshell explodes, adding the crisis is here. Today, the number 2 at the DOJ, Todd Blanche, is meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell in a federal courthouse in Tallahassee, Florida. But the meeting may be planting the seeds for more backlash. Maxwell's attorney spoke to the press afterwards.
We had a very productive day today with the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Glenn Maxwell. He took a full day and asked a lot of questions, and Ms. Maxwell answered every single question. She never stopped, she never invoked a privilege, she never declined to answer. She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
And Maxwell's own brother is now saying she's preparing new evidence. Epstein victims warned Maxwell, a convicted perjurer as well as a child sex trafficker, can't be trusted. Amid the clamor for more transparency, newly surfaced deposition video from 2010 shows an attorney for an Epstein victim asking Epstein about Trump.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
Personal relationships.
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
You know, I'd like to answer that question, at least today, which I'm going to have to assert my fifth, sixth, and 14th Amendment right, sir.
What you saw there, it is all new context around the Wall Street Journal's bombshell reporting that Attorney General Pam Bondi told Trump in May his name was in the Epstein files, among many others, which is prompting new questions about who, knew what, and when. Former federal prosecutor Ankush Kaduri saying, quote, right now, everyone should be asking whether the highest levels of the federal government, including but not limited to the president, the vice president, the AG, the FBI director, and possibly even some Republican leaders in Congress, depending on what they knew and when, have been misleading the American public for weeks, if not months. Amid all this, GOP Speaker Mike Johnson today undermining Trump's claims that the Epstein uproar is all just some sort of hoax. Listen to Trump and then Johnson contradicting him.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work.
On full transparency, want everybody who was involved in any way with the Epstein evils, let's call it what it was, to be brought to justice as quickly as possible. And look, I think the press, this is not a hoax, in other words. That's not a hoax, of course not.
Ahead tonight, I'll talk to a House Democrat who just scored a major win against MAGA enablers in Congress, leading the charge to subpoena the Epstein files. Also coming up, an acclaimed journalist who's been tracking Epstein for years on what Trump knows. But we start with our guests here tonight. We have Joyce and Van.
Okay, there you go. So they interviewed her. They said she was talking, but I don't know what she was talking about. And like I said before, and I'm glad I've vindicated, I am the female Trent here. She's given her brother new evidence. She's writing in this journal, and she's giving the pages of the journal to her brother. So, what do you guys think about this?
So, in the clip that we heard, the one where that was a deposition from the 2000s with Epstein, and the fact that in that deposition, when asked if he was in the presence with Mr. Trump with underage girls, and we talked about this earlier, there was only one answer to that. That was just no. Instead, he chose to invoke 3 amendments. Not one, not the 5th Amendment. He came with some new fucking...
The 13th and the 12th.
And the 12, right. So that tells us that. And other portions of the recording that we heard, I've heard them before. But this interview today, my thing, the way I'm seeing it, is that productive means that they are encouraging her to give testimony solely around Mr. Epstein and without mentioning Trump's name. So that question, and we can't trust any question of this guy. Like they're not talking about Trump. They're not asking about any collusion with Trump. I can assure you that. So her thing, wink, wink, is to throw Mr. Epstein, who's no longer here, under the bus even more. And so that is the strategy here. But we know the playbook.
I'm a add with what Robert said. She is not going to go for free. Let's be clear. She's not going for free. They can't exchange money. Money is not the issue. She wants a pardon. She wants something in return. They're going to deport her ass back to Europe because she's not a U.S. citizen. Let's be clear, because after her 21 years, she was going to get deported back any goddamn way because she is convicted of sex crimes. So I want y'all to understand what the freaking play is. The play is for her to then turn around, say some shit like, oh, Trump was never involved in anything. They were just casual friends. Da 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 da. She gonna say some bullshit. And watch what I say. She's not doing this for free, y'all. Nobody will just go to an attorney or allow an attorney to talk to them who is not representing them. She's already exhausted her appeals. Let's be clear. She doesn't have anything else left but the card to play to get a pardon so she can get the hell out of jail and get her ass back to Europe and do the same bullshit she was doing in Europe. Let's be clear. She is British born and she was raised in Switzerland or some shit like that. Her parents, her father was a big magnet. He had a lot of money. He lost a lot of money. There was a lot of shit that went down with that situation. But I'm telling y'all, she is going for a pardon. And to have the attorney of Trump, which I want y'all to understand is a conflict of goddamn interest, come in when you know his name is all over a fucking file, right? And the DOJ knows that, but you would have his personal attorney question her. There's no tape, and the tape sound that I'm hearing sounds like shit. But the Epstein tape has clearly negates every fucking thing she's gonna say anyway, because when he said because Trump around him with any underage girls, and he said, I'm going for the 5th, the 14th, the 16th, and the 18th Amendment, honey, guilty as charged. I'm going on mute. Thank you.
She is a U.S. citizen. I don't know why y'all think she isn't.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
She's a U.S. citizen. She has U.S. citizenship, I think British and French. So like, she is a U.S. citizen. I don't know why. I don't think she isn't, but she is.
And how does I don't understand this. I mean, I'm just thinking about how does this, even with the plays that y'all talking about, how does this help him? This doesn't help him. Even if she lies, it doesn't help him. Because she's already a convicted sex crimes convict herself. So she cannot help him in any way. It is a fool's errand to put her anywhere, and to exonerate her only makes him look more guilty. They already are suspicious of him. The only thing that's going, when I say them, I'm talking about his base of people. He's already been implicated as being a part of it. She, by her word, can't exonerate him. It doesn't help him. No matter what we think intrigue or how Tom Clancy this appears to be, it can't help him. Because if they're stupid enough, and we do know that they're stupid enough, if they're stupid enough to say, oh, well, this convicted sex crimes person said that he's not in it, well, then we'll just believe her. She can't exonerate him. And him pardoning her makes him look even worse.
Yeah, and I don't think she's gonna give any new information because she does have appeals. She lost the one about the Epstein prosecution trying to tie that to her case. She lost it in the Second Circuit, but she could appeal it to the Supreme Court. And then she has that case in the Virgin Islands too that's pending. So I don't know that she's gonna do anything that will put her in jeopardy. And we don't know what this meeting was. The reporter, when the report first came out, they said that they didn't even meet for that long a period of a time. And there's no recording, like, we don't know. They could tell us anything happened in that meeting. It doesn't mean that it's true.
I agree with you, Dr. A.G. I just got a question for you. Has she already exhausted her habeas corpus? Because that's what I was going to ask.
Well, from what I understand, I think not, from what I understand.
Okay, all right. And her citizenship can be revoked because she's naturalized.
No,
and
no,
it's not her primary. It's not. She wasn't.
Not for this crime. It can't. No, it can't. So if she was a terrorist, she did some kind of war crime, or she lied on her application. Something like this is not going to be revoked.
I understand what y'all saying. Like, you know, we think the ridiculous has happened, and he's been able to what we perceive to be get away with the absolute ridiculous, if not just trying to get away with, or seemingly like he's getting away with things that aren't normal. But there are, I mean, believe it or not, there are still some there are institutions that are holding. Like, he's having a tough time doing some of this. On TV, he's able to announce it. It sounds very, very ridiculous. It sounds like he may be accomplishing some things. He's really having trouble. Even with the deportations, he's having problems with those things. It's just red meat for the base. People are being detained, but they're not being deported.
I agree with you, Quinn, that there are some. It's a lot more of horse and pony than anything else, right? A lot of it looks very shiny. There's this shiny object, and people are going to it. So I agree with that part. But he doesn't have a stopgap. Not Stephen Miller doesn't have a stopgap. All these people that are advising him don't have a stopgap. They're willing to just throw shit and figure out what friggin' sticks.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that they're not accomplishing the stuff.
The real problem is that he needs those votes, and there are some people in the House of Representatives that are not going to support him around this Epstein thing, and that's going to cause a real fracture. And so he's trying to heal it up so that he does not lose his congressional support, because he needs those people to get his shit passed.
You don't think it's already fractured though, Dr. AG? Because I see some cracks.
Yeah. I think these lies and these tricks are his attempt to assuage some of that, to appease them a little bit for as long as he can to get his stuff done. I think that's what I think this is all about. That woman, Ghislaine, she don't have nothing to offer, because if she did, she would have offered it on herself.
I agree.
To get herself out of trouble.
100% agree, but
she was trying to make all kinds of deals.
She
to get herself out of trouble. None of that shit worked.
Well, because she's trying to make, because I was understanding she was waiting on Trump to see if he would just straight up pardon her because of all the dirt that she had on him. She was
doing all kinds of stuff. She offered them, when she was trying to get bail, she was like, I got all these citizenships, I'll give that up if you give me bail.
And she tried to renounce her citizenship at one point to go back to Europe. And
no, she was going to renounce her UK and France.
Yeah, she was trying to give up her
not the US. Okay, I got you. Okay.
She was going to give up UK and French citizenship. Yeah. She was trying to work all kind of machinations, and none of that worked. So if she had anything, she would have given it.
You don't have shit.
So, but isn't her team trying to, fuck, let me look this up before I say something. Hold on, give me a second.
Okay, let me jump in quickly. Because the thing that the MAGA base wants is to release the files, right? And they've wanted that since forever, and they were because it's this whole QAnon thing, and it's like Trump, yeah, he's exactly the guy to take these people down because he's been so close to them. But now that he's not releasing the files, and people are saying, oh, it's because he's in them and blah, 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 it's kind of breaking the whole image of Trump as, like, the guy that's going to bring down the elites. So how do they get out of this, how do they get out of this trap? Like, they're talking to Ghislaine, and they're doing this, and they're doing this, but what is the thing that they can throw the MAGA base to get them to see him that way again, or is it gone?
I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you like this: whatever he's doing, it seems like they're throwing a bunch of shit against the wall to see what sticks. But you can tell what they actually think of this base of people by the things that they're offering. Like, I mean, they're the ones that are bringing the pressure to their Congress people, and their Congress people are introducing that in Congress. So, I mean, it's not, and obviously, but that's what I'm saying, that he's got to give them something. Because the story's not going to go away.
To figure out this is why he's doing all these stall tactics. The grand jury thing was on tactic. This Ghislaine Maxwell thing is a stall tactic. Like, at straws to get them something.
Okay, I found what I was
this chicanery is about. Because there's some of those people that are not gonna relent.
That's exactly it. Yep.
So I did find this. So this is what it was. So I know her. Oh yeah. So her family has stated an intention to file habeas corpus, citing evidence of alleged misconduct. So I do know that they petition to the U.S. Supreme Court.
I thought they did. That's why I was asking that they haven't done it yet. So they were setting it up for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless they did it recently, they haven't done it yet.
They did it recently. So this was the family's response. Like, they got evidence. They got stuff that they want to reveal. So I don't know if it got denied or.
Wait. Read that, because she just had an appeal denied.
Right, but she did do the petition.
In the state court.
That was her habeas corpus, right? That was her first one.
No, she hasn't done the habeas corpus.
Okay.
So they're threatening to do one with hold on.
Yeah,
was this her first appeal, Patty?
Hold on.
What's the case? What's her argument? And
that's what I'm looking at right now.
That's the one they just.
Hold on, just like. Hold on. But I know she did a petition, and that's why her family came out. I'm not sure if it. Yep. So Ghislaine Maxwell has petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court for a writ seeking review of her conviction and sentence related to charges.
Oh yeah.
But that's the habeas corpus.
That's the appeal.
No, that's not the habeas corpus.
Hold on. That's the appeal that she just lost in federal court, where she was trying to say that her conviction should be overturned due to the federal government being unable to prosecute Jeffrey Epstein.
And then her family came out. Came out, and they were like, they pretty much said that that they are intending to file habeas corpus.
Right.
In this SD, New York. So I remember they were saying they were going to do it, and it's been recently. It was like within the last week or two.
Yeah, because she just lost her appeal.
Yep.
The appeal decision just came down. If not Monday, then last Friday.
No.
Yeah.
So they said the Justice Department filed its opposition July 14th, 2025. So
that was only a week or two ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they actually they filed an opposition on July 14th, and then that's when her family came out and said, "We got evidence."
Evidence of what, though, Patty?
They're gonna have to take it to the appeals court. Like, they can't just go to what is going on?
What is the evidence they have, though? I guess is the question, because they're family members. What evidence would they have as far as this piece is concerned?
That other people should have been prosecuted. I don't know.
But that doesn't get her out of jail. That doesn't get her out of jail. And her case,
that's what I thought.
Her case was specific to 4 witnesses. Like, her case was specific. She had specific counts related to 4 people. It doesn't, I don't mean this in a callous way. It doesn't matter that Jeffrey Epstein molested 1,000 people. Her case is about these 4 people. So unless she has evidence that's going to undermine the evidence presented by these 4 people, I don't know what her family talking about.
And it was more than just testimony. But it was more than just there was more than just testimony with these 4 people, because there were flight logs, and it was a lot of evidence that was presented in the grand jury. Am I wrong?
Right, in the trial, but in her trial too. So if they don't have anything, but I was emphasizing the 4 people because
They were the ones recruited, and that was her charge.
and they had direct contact with her. So her
because she
case
was
is
in their
specific
book.
to her.
She recruited them directly. Yes, correct.
So she I don't know what they talking about.
She has nothing that can exonerate her. Like she's been fully tried. The evidence is overwhelming against her. I don't know what I mean. She's going through the motions because she has a legal right to. But in terms of the evidence, like it's overwhelming against her. Like it's a fool's errand. The only thing she can do, the only hope she really has, is a pardon. And if she's willing to lie to do that, it still doesn't serve the person that she's trying to exonerate.
But she can also embarrass Trump just having that conversation.
She could.
You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what is going to get her out, I can tell you, her saying that his ass was fucking little girls is just enough for people to be up in arms.
Yeah.
100%.
But here's the thing. There's 2 things that can happen. Either the people are going to believe her. I mean, it can work against you, it can work for her. Either the people that she's telling the story to can say, oh, she's a liar, she's a convicted liar, she's a sex trafficker, she's doing what she can to get out. Him getting her out makes him look complicit, makes him look like he's in cahoots with her.
But do you think the base really cares about that? I mean,
yes, they do.
Hey, Queen, they want plausible deny.
Y'all ain't got too much faith in them.
Queen. They want enough to be able to say, you know what? See, we tried. He was innocent. That's it.
That's not gonna work.
Speaking, hear me out. Her actually speaking right now is saying, yes, he was diddling little kids. He is with little girls, X, Y, and Z. He needs that kind of damage control. He needs to control that. It's not that she exonerates him. It's that she can be deadly if she's not with him, bro.
But I don't think it's enough. It is not enough.
It's not enough.
It's
There's
not
something
enough
I
for
don't
them
understand. It's a step in the wrong direction if she does that.
Hold on for a second. It's not enough, Gemini, because they were giving him, the people was giving him all kind of backlash on that grand jury transcript bullshit. Like, there is a core among his base that are not going to settle for anything other than those documents being released and it being made public.
That's what y'all meant.
Hold on. I wasn't saying, I think you mistook what I was saying.
But it's not going to work.
I wasn't saying it was enough.
Some of the people some of the people in the House are saying, no, dude, like, you need to give us this information. And they're skirting around Mike Johnson, and Mike Johnson's doing his best to try to derail, persuade. He's doing his best. But some of those congressmen
are not going to let it go.
They're not falling for it.
I'm not saying it's going to be enough. This is what I was saying, right? 1 second, I'm going to be real brief. I'm not saying it's enough. I'm saying it's a step, right? Everything he's doing is in phases. There's no like, okay, now said and done, black and white, pregnant, not pregnant. That's not happening here, right? So he's trying to work towards his innocence in phases, which we all know he's not innocent. And he's trying to use plausible deniability in phases. Like, okay, you see that clear me. You see that clear me. That, and hopefully, although I agree with you, there's going to be people that still push for this. He's trying to distance himself from it. And even when somebody brings it up, like, oh, why are you even talking about this Epstein shit, that old shit? Like, he's trying to do whatever he can to distance himself. So whether it's enough or not to have her on his side, I think in his mind and possibly in reality could be smart.
Okay, but here's where I'm gonna push back a little bit.
Side does not help him.
Yeah, but let me say this. I get what you guys are saying as far as the optics, right? Because he don't really give a fuck about optics. Let's be clear. His optics.
He cares about optics.
Okay, Kat. When I say optics, I'm talking about he doesn't care about optics as far as throwing shit to the wall. Because here's the thing, he had the DOJ literally go to the Florida courts and ask for them to open up the grand jury and to show that, because he wanted to expose the fucking victims. He's willing to do any shit. And here's the thing, that grand grand jury has evidence that could prove a lot of shit. It won't prove Trump, but it will prove Epstein, and it would prove Giselle's part in it. So his intent is not a good thing because he's trying to up that case. The judge literally just denied them being able to open up the grand jury files. So it's weird to me. It's like, to me, again, you're just throwing shit and figuring out whatever is going to fucking stick. And yes, I do believe that there are some of the base, no matter what, they're going to want those files, period, point blank, full stop. But there are some of them that if you just give them a bone, they don't give a fuck. You have people like, and I'm just saying this, Cat Turd, who's on fucking X, who every time you throw this motherfucker a bone, he said, yeah, you see? And he has a following of 2.3 million people that are part of that fucking MAGA base, that if he says boo, they jump to boo. That's all I'm saying.
That may be with a few different things, Rez, but this thing is dear to them. I think that's what you all are missing. Like, this is serious to them. Like, these motherfuckers were willing to go to a pizza shop and kick in because they really seriously thought that there's somebody who's running an underground celebrity ring, raping children in a basement of a pizza parlor. Like, they are delusional ways. Their delusion also is going to make them not believe what he says until he can exonerate himself. I know other issues.
Check this out. So y'all don't think Pam Bondi had did this shit on purpose when she tried to tried to request? Because the thing is, right? So you know what the request was? Public interest. They're not gonna release. They're not gonna release a goddamn a grand jury. They're not gonna release it for public interest. It doesn't meet the threshold. Like, I don't know if they did this on purpose. She's not stupid. She's and I think she's very qualified for her job. She's just a fucking clown right now. But she's not dumb. Like, why would you fucking request it for public interest? They know it's gonna get denied.
Here's what I don't understand.
Smoking mirrors, right? That's what the point. You throw something and see what sticks.
Why don't they just, this is what I don't get. Maybe I'm missing something. Why don't they just release the files or part of the files, and whenever it says Donald Trump, just redact it? Because of course everything they've released has had redaction. So redacted for national security, blah, blah, blah. Why don't they just redact the Donald Trump bits and just release it?
But you can't claim national security for something it's not a national security issue.
Or whatever, but why don't they do that?
But right, but what are you redacting it for? Redaction is for a reason. You can't redact
for national security purposes.
Right, you can't just redact.
You actually can't though in this case, because if there's someone who's named in it, but isn't necessarily someone who's done anything wrong, they redact it all the time. So, like, a good example would be, let's say there was, like, the person who drove in from the airport to, like, the Epstein mansion or something, and he didn't actually know what was going on, or the prosecutors decided that there wasn't enough on this person to actually prosecute them. They will redact a name like that. And they do this all the time. Like, even in the, remember the Michael Cohen case? They redacted Donald Trump's name.
Yes, I
remember
remember
the perjury trial.
Yeah.
And they called him, like, individual one, and it was obvious who it was, or president one, or some shit like that.
But that was a
It's obvious who it was.
Individual one,
But they actually. Okay, but hold on a second. Oh my God. So what I'm saying is that you can hide it. Now, it's a lot easier to hide it when it isn't about him being, and no one is claiming that Epstein period. Like the friendship that Trump had with Epstein starting his presidency. So there'll be individuals 1 through like 10,000, and you're not going to know who anyone is.
Right, but wasn't that a campaign?
Yeah, just release files too. It still got to go through the judicial. So, like, the court has not approved the files be released. Like, they're playing on fucking words.
And wasn't that? But the issue with Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels was an issue of campaign finance, right? Which had to do with which involved possibly at that point the current president of the United States.
Which he now has 34 felonies for. Okay. for the same conversation that Stormy Daniels is the reason he has 34 felonies.
Right, but,
let's be clear.
Right, but I'm saying, but in that, in so much is this is not a national security issue.
100%.
Like,
Exactly.
they'd have to find reasons to redact people if they were innocent, but it would still elude to who was involved, and you may not know their name, but that the whole point of this is to take the suspicion away from him. Opening that up only gives more suspicion, even if you don't know who the names are, because it doesn't satisfy the curiosity. Like, people want to see something that they want to see something that exonerates him or says officially that he is not a part of that. Otherwise, this noise stays around, at least for a time, and it will have fallout during election time.
I just don't see what the hell could exonerate him at this point, Quinn, to be honest with you.
I have no idea. I won't even be, I would think I'm smart enough to say that. I have no idea.
Just saying, I don't know what would redact, what would exonerate him at this point. Because every time you turn around, there's a leak, and somebody is leaking information. You turn around, there's a video. All this shit that should have been shown during the presidential run for the election, all this shit is now surfacing. All these never seen before, the damn deposition with frigging Epstein. That was a never seen before. It just came out 2 days ago. Every 2 days, it's a slow frigging leak that keeps coming out.
Well, and then the story's not straight, which gives it more fuel. I mean, because at this point, Pam Bondi says it's on the desk. Now they come back, and then they said, well, there is no file. So that starts to create suspicion, even for dumb people. That starts to create suspicion. They're stupid. They're dumb, but they ain't that dumb. So that starts to create suspicion. It looks like you're lying. He's involved in it. They're trying to protect it and kick the can down the road so that either people forget or that the interest in it goes away. But it doesn't look like either of those things are happening at this point. He's taking a really big risk. But in his defense, he may have to, because he is definitely involved. It definitely alludes to him doing something during that time. He's very reckless in his personal life. He knows that he had no reason not to be. He's a megalomaniac, and he's a terminal narcissist. He never thinks that there's going to be any consequences. So that makes you sloppy. So he did something that he can't account for now. And he's trying to protect.
Vicious about it, but I don't know any other way to do it. Suppose you're one of his kids, and you see signs that says Mike Johnson supports pedophilia.
Well, yeah, you have to do that. Yeah, I think that would be a good move. Not only Mike Johnson, anybody that's a Republican that decides that they want to go home early.
Yeah, that didn't really look good on their mind. That's trying to shut down the conversation.
Well, I'd be willing to get arrested in his district to hold a sign that says Mike Johnson supports pedophilia. But I wanted to know if you guys think that crazy. I mean,
no.
Okay.
All the news should have them come to your house. Come to the house. But make sure you get a couple more people than just you.
Well, that's it. And that's if I'm in California. But I'd be willing to pay to fly there and everything. I can't do it alone. That's the point that I'm trying to make. You're absolutely right. I wanted a small group of people to do it.
That's a great idea, Alan.
Thank you. If you know anybody who wants to join, anybody wants to do it, I'm all for it, because I need it.
Where in California are you?
I'm in Tustin.
Oh, okay. Then we're both from Southern California. I'll send you a...
Oh, good. Please do. And I travel with the guide dog, so, I mean, for me to do this completely alone would be a little bit over what I'm capable of doing quite a bit, but I need at least one other person.
Brother Allen, I wouldn't suggest you do that. I think that social media is as powerful a tool as being right in front of him. I think if that started to circulate through social media, I think it would be as damaging.
Public road. They don't have to do it on his private property. Like how they just need to look at what the local policies are. Like, you can't be on a public road with a sign.
I don't know why he couldn't be on a public road with a sign. She's thinking exactly the way I'm thinking. I mean, I want to walk up and down the public road with a sign, and I really don't care. If I were to get arrested, so what? What is freedom of speech? It's public road.
Hi, this is Steve. I know Tustin area, that's Orange County. So you know on some of those bridges, people have those signs anyways that they're protesting a variety of different things. So it's not uncommon that they do it over freeway bridges.
Yeah, but my point is we need to do it specifically in his district in Louisiana. That's the point I'm trying to get to. Doing it in Southern California isn't important, but doing it in his district and making a stink in his district, I think is the thing to do, because you guys are all right that any other Republican that goes home is a problem. But Mike Johnson specifically had the power to get this done, and he didn't, and he's holding out this bless your heart and all this kind of horse shit that he's some kind of a saint. And I just think calling him on that directly in his home territory could move the needle. It's the weak spot in the whole thing.
Can I get in on this? When y'all were talking about the whole thing with his base, and his base is not going to be moved by this, you don't need his base so hardcore, sycophants or fanatics. You don't need them. You're not going to get them. A lot of people in this election, be it because they didn't want to vote for a black woman, be it because of the trans issue, be it whatever, but there were a number of people that said they were going to hold their nose and vote for Trump. This whole situation that he can't escape, by the way, because he was, by Jeffrey Epstein's own admission, he was Donald Trump's best friend for like 10 years, and I think Donald Trump talked about a 15-year relationship with him. There's so much video, there's so much evidence of all the stuff going on. He wished gasoline, to Lisa's point, Ghislaine Maxwell, he wished her well when she is a convicted sex trafficker, child sex trafficker, and wishing her well. Saying all this to say that you just need, if we have a midterm election, assuming that things still work the way they're supposed to work, you just need for a percentage. Like it could be 15, but you just need a percentage of people that voted for him this last time to vote down ballot. We need to get the House back. So to me, all of this stuff is effective, and there's really nothing he can do. There's nothing she can say. He can't run from this. But it's just we do need for some people to come over that are on the borderline. That's all that's going to come over.
It'll be interesting. I just don't. I think that this is, to Alan's point, I think this is the issue that pierces them. Not much else has. Not hurting other people. Not taking other people's rights. Not deporting other people. I don't think any of that, because none of that directly impacts them. Or so I think anyway.
Exactly.
I think that this issue is the one that pierces.
Because if you stand out in front of a church on a Sunday morning when people are going in, and there's somebody standing there with a sign that says Mike Johnson supports pedophilia, imagine what you have to explain to yourself.
Well, and here's another thing too, because that is a good idea, Alan, just to keep it out there. But the thing is, so Donald Trump doesn't stand for anything. At least I don't believe he doesn't stand for anything except for like going out and mess with underage girls or like young girls under 25. Like he made this comment about Paris Hilton when she was 12, like being amazed when she walked in the room and how he's known her for all these years. He's about that. He's about making money, having his name on stuff, being like celebrity, a pseudo superstar, whatever you want to call him. That's what he stands on. The people who voted for him, he used people's unintelligence and built a foundation on that. So the draining the swamp thing, we're gonna get the deep state. We're gonna release the Epstein files because we know the Clintons on there, and we're gonna get all these the radical left. We're gonna get them. Now he's part of the deep state. These people are principled. Be their principles like crazy to us, they do believe in what they believe in. Like QAnon, I saw with a QAnon shaman, the dude that had the water buffalo horn from the Flintstones that was in the Capitol, where he put out tweets on X, where he's like, fuck Donald Trump and just all this stuff. These people really are affected by the fact that he is part of the deep state. They truly believe that he cared about them and he was on their side. And they're finding out, like I say, for the first time that Santa Claus is the this list and being that he was going to expose stuff, and now he's part of the cover up. And like I said, I think that's going to come back to bite him in the ass.
Maybe we found the bottom.
I think so. Yeah,
You
I
think
think
so,
that.
Mike? Honestly, because you know what? I don't even know. When I look at some of the stuff that's being posted, I don't think the bottom's even hit. There are some MAGAs that are literally like, they've shifted the conversation. Now that this whole Obama thing is going on, like that's the new thing a lot of the MAGA influencers are jumping on now. The whole Obama needs to be arrested. Da, 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 da. This whole thing that the BNI bought for, we all know is a distraction, but that's the new talking point, honestly. Mike?
So there are people, and that's why I say sycophants and fanatics, you're not going to get, like, let's forget about them. Anybody that's, like, going to this thing that's getting away from his child predatory behavior, the Tiffany Johnson case, all these things, and can still talk about Obama, those are, like, fanatics. You're not going to get those people. The people I'm trying to get are the people that love America, that love democracy, and really thought that Trump was going to drain the swamp, that he was going to just sort of open up all the files, that he was going to give us a true democratic process in their mind. These people that are principled and love America and stand on something and want to see like the right thing done, even if their perspective is different than ours, those people, I think he's offended and he's hurt them in a way that I think is sort of just, it's not fixable. I just don't believe that he can get those people back, and those are people that we need, like I say, that didn't want to vote, even though like with Kamala and everything she talked about with her programs, they just couldn't bring themselves to vote for a black woman because they felt like the founding fathers built this country for white men to rule over everybody, and we had 8 years of black president. They were upset by that, but they're principled. They don't believe in in pedophilia and pedophiles, getting over. They hated Jeffrey Epstein. They don't like Ghislaine Maxwell. Those people are people that we need to just vote differently, to not hold their nose. They can't, I don't feel like they can hold their nose now, and I do feel like this is bottom for him, because, again, Trump did this to himself. He built his whole thing on, I'm going to drain the swamp, I'm going to expose stuff, the Epstein files, all that stuff, and now, like, for him to hold something back from, like, this rabid base, and he created the rabies. Like, he went around and bit people, and he's got a bunch of rabid people out there that want this list, and now he's saying you can't have this, you can't have this. So now it's like it's gonna eat, it's eating him right now. And
how are they principled, right? When a lot of Epstein's situation was already there. There are pictures of him, Melania, Giselle, and Trump when what you call it? Because you do know that Epstein was the one who introduced Melania to Trump, right? I want y'all to know this. This is a true story. So it's weird to me that these people are supposedly principled. I get your point, but they're principled, but they overlooked all of these things that were already out there for public consumption, and now all of a sudden they're principled because now the files won't be released. That's so weird to me.
Chris, I disagree with you in this sense. This is about pricking people's conscience. It's about keeping it in front of their mind. I shouldn't say disagree with you. That's the wrong way to characterize it. I agree with you, but it's our job to not let this go away and to find a fulcrum and keep beating on that.
Like he's kind of don't-like Muslim. It's not like he's Zionist.
And he's Islamophobe. He's Islamophobe.
Yeah, he's Islamophobe.
Yes. So, anyways, Nathan, brother, you weren't here for the conversation. He says, he makes a claim that I support Israel, and I told him all these facts. The ethnic cleansing by force, the UN resolution says they have the right to return, they can come back and, get their land back. There's a lot of things he doesn't agree with it. I don't even know how that makes sense. You have to be consistent. You have to agree to all of this thing. This is how the state was created. Otherwise, I don't even know how you're taking this position. It's just tough. I've been there, done it, right? That yes, they should have a home, but not in British-mandate Palestine. They were going to go to Uganda or Argentina in the beginning.
That's kind of like, but there's people like me, which I don't want to get into the indigeneity thing. That's super messy, but I mean, they do there has at least been some Jews that have been living there for a long point of time. There is a historical connection, but that being said, I understand. I don't think that is a reason for them to come in and displace any group of people.
It was less than 10%.
But they do have a country. At the end of the day, they do have a country today. Okay, it's like the only country that is Jewish majority. I want to see the Palestinians live in peace with Israel and not be, nothing bad happen to the Palestinians. I just don't. I think it's at this point in time in history, it's unreasonable to expect them to give up their country.
You can't create a state by terrorizing people. You cannot create a state by terrorizing people every day, right, for the past over 50 years. I think
every country in the New World, and even in the Old World, okay, there was invasions. There were people that were enslaved. There were people that were genocided. Just everything. I mean, at what point do you? I understand it's a newer country, but at what point is it just like you guys want peace and not to continue to fight over
Can
them?
I answer that? Can I say something?
I think Fatima wanted to go really quick. Go to Fatima and then you can go after Fatima. Go ahead, say.
Go ahead, Fatima.
Well, no, Wednesday. It's not your day today, okay?
Like you jump in the middle of a conversation with your fucking bullshit. Like, can you say something?
Let her finish that.
Fucking
Hang on. She did ask for a mic. Did you want to say something?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to ask anybody on stage who has been to Israel, who has stepped a foot on that land. Anyone? Because I've been there.
Lots of course.
Okay, so what's that? Okay, follow up. What's the next question? Like, okay,
We're
then what?
talking about their appearance, right? And I've been there, and as someone who has been there and see it with my own eyes, a lot, maybe 70% of people who live there, they look Arab.
So you saw 70% of the population.
I mean, not 70% of the population I saw, but just from my...
More than 50% of the...
From the population I saw...
They do not look fucking Arab. They look...
I don't think you understand. Of the Jews that live there, the Middle Eastern Jews are outnumbered.
I'm just saying facts. They do
So where did they...
No, she's correct, because you have to look at... Okay, they come from all over the Middle East, like literally all over.
Why?
Iraq told them they had to leave. Iran told them they had to leave.
He's actually kind of correct. Okay.
And this was like right after the creation of Israel.
Yeah. So the Mossad went over there and made it real dangerous for Jews to live there. So they're like, oh yeah,
So
dangerous it is.
why didn't they expel them prior to that?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it had to do with Israel.
Do you know, as of today's date in Iran, which is Israel's biggest enemy, Iran, yeah, the big ones there in that region, there is a little bit over 35,000 Jews there.
There is today? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, actually the oldest, yeah.
You know, there are 25% of Asia.
Well, I mean, I've heard... What? 34?
45.
Okay, 45. And then if you look at you have a higher percentage, which is Mizrahi and Sephardi, and then if we stop looking at the Jews, 20% Arab. So you literally have a brown population is clearly the majority of Israel. Like the whites are the minority there.
I've seen it. Yes.
Well, it's a little misleading because they promoted Ashkenazi Jews to marry Mizrahi Jews, so what you end up with is really half white.
That's
so.
Well, I don't think it's not really what I don't think it's promoted.
You can. It is the Middle East. You do can.
Sure, no. I got the numbers here. It says approximately 50 to 55 are Sephardic, Ashkenazis 30 to 35, Ethiopian 1.5 to 2%, and other mixed 10 to 15%.
And first of all, I can only tell you from what Israelis have told me on here, but they did tell me that there was some racism at this, with the first generation that lived there. The European Jews kind of looked at the others as sure, yeah, they kind of looked at them as, all right, stop. They looked at, like, hey, shut the fuck up!
I'm just
Let me
saying.
finish. You keep on you're ankle biting while I'm talking. Just shut up.
Guys,
You are.
Guys, one at a time. I still haven't been able to talk.
But no, Wednesday, I was in the middle of a sentence and you were talking.
Hey, guys, stop telling her to shut the fuck up. Listen, Pepper, you got 30 seconds. Make your point. Then it's after that's Wednesday.
So no, this is only coming from Israelis on here. They were saying, yeah, like the first generation, they looked at each other as different. There's some cultural differences. They kind of looked at it as like, oh, they're different. So like a different. It was kind of a little bit taboo to mix, but according to them, they're saying that is not a taboo at all anymore in Israel, and that it's not. They kind of just look at each other as being Jews, and they can You find a Jew you love, you can just marry them. It doesn't matter whether or not
color, race, got no color. Okay, so what I wanted to say is you made a comment. That back in the day, countries attacked other countries, and there were slaves, and people conquered people. That was back in the days. We living in the 21st century, and because of World War II, all the countries got together and signed the Geneva Convention, and there's laws to war now. And everything that Israel is doing to the Palestinians, they are not following the Geneva Convention. We're not barbarians, okay? We're not living in the 1400s anymore, the 1500s anymore, the 1600s. We live in the 21st century. We're literally at the pinnacle of AI right now, of it being sentient, okay? So I don't know why you guys keep on going back to the 1500s, to the 1600s, as if we're fucking cavemen back then. We're in the 21st century. Get with the problem. Get with it.
I don't know which
you made that comment. Oh, which is
yes, I know, only because one person had said it doesn't matter how far you go back to the roots.
Clear that up. He's talking about the root of the foundation of making of Israel. You look over to the 1500s with the Islamic ruling and stuff like that when they took over Constantinople. And that was Islam. It was the